You might recognize this water heating kettle. If you are an Asian, you of course will. These are electric water heating kettles that can automatically turn themselves off once the water starts boiling. But the question here is, will it do the same if we try to do this on the top of a mountain? I was presented with this question by my subscriber W. Liu, who asked this on my previous video of how electric kettles work. You might say, what kind of a stupid question is this? If this turns off automatically here, then it should do the same no matter where you try. And isn't it a universal truth that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius? Also, another question can be asked here. Will this electric kettle filled with alcohol ever turn off? Because the boiling point of alcohol is lower than that of water. The above two questions I just mentioned are related because the water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, it is true, but it boils at 100 degrees Celsius only at the sea level. As you go up by 1000 feet or roughly 304 meters, the boiling point of water decreases by 1 degree Celsius. So, boiling alcohol here, whose boiling point is 78 degrees Celsius, is comparable to boiling water at an altitude of roughly 6800 meters. We can even boil the water at the room temperature, that is 25 degrees Celsius, if we do this experiment at an altitude of 23 kilometers. Pretty high above. So using an alcohol here helps me to test the functioning of this electric kettle without having me to travel all the way to the Himalayas to answer this question. After this explanation, what do you think will happen? Whether this will boil dry and destroy itself, or whether this will turn off. Let's put our guess on this side and proceed with the video. By the way, instead of putting that guess on this side, you can put that guess in the comment section, and on the same occasion press that like and subscribe button if you are finding this interesting. Today I am not only going to satisfy your curiosities regarding electric kettle, but I am also going to explain the inner workings of this kettle that left one of the greatest educational science YouTube creator Steve Mould puzzled. So let's get started. I know you all are already familiar with the normal use cases of this electric kettle, where you simply put the water in the kettle, leave it there for a while, and it will automatically turn itself off when water starts boiling. I don't know whether you have tried this or not, but after this turns off automatically, you cannot accidentally turn this kettle on until the water has cooled down enough. As you got the basic understanding of this kettle, I think we can proceed with the video. Let's now put alcohol into the kettle and see what will happen. By the way, never ever try to do this at home because pure alcohol is extremely flammable and poisonous. That's why I'm doing this experiment outdoors with a handy fire extinguisher. The kettle was less than $10 to purchase, so I highly doubt that this is going to turn off. The manufacturer might have put a few degrees of tolerances in the cutoff temperature, but the difference here is almost 22 degrees. Anyways, let's see what will happen. Well, this is taking too much time. Alcohol is boiling very hard, but the kettle does not seem to care. If left alone like this, this will probably boil dry and destroy itself. I was expecting the same result with this cheap electric kettle. So you got your answer. This kettle will not automatically turn off, and this will probably boil dry if you try boiling water on top of 6500 meter mountain top. However, this same experiment was performed by Steve Mould, and he got some different result. He tried boiling alcohol in two of his kettles and it turned off in both of them. I think we have to look a bit deeper to have a clear understanding of the working of these electric kettles. Let's open this up and see what's inside. This seems pretty straightforward. The power comes through these connectors, and this circular piece here seems to be the resistive heating element. one wire from the connector goes to the heating element directly and another goes to the front and to the switch. This switch always fascinated me because it mechanically moves the switch from on position to off position. Let's unscrew this and have a closer look. There was a small detail in the switch which I did not initially film. Here it says 80 degrees Celsius, which means this switch was designed to turn off once it senses the temperature of 80 degrees Celsius. This now explains why it did not turn off in my case and it turned off in the strip's video. Because the alcohol boils at only 78.3 degrees Celsius and you cannot actually supply more heat to increase the temperature. Look, this can be understood like this. If you supply more heat by increasing the flame to your already boiling water, this will only make that water turn into steam faster. This is not going to increase the temperature of that liquid above its boiling point. Because of the same phenomenon, the alcohol in my kettle never reached 80 degrees Celsius. On top of that, the place where I shot that initial clip was at an altitude of 1400 meters above sea level, where the alcohol boils at even lower temperatures of roughly 73 to 74 degrees Celsius. Hence, the temperature of the alcohol was never sufficient enough to trip that switch. Oh, check this out. There exists this circular bimetallic strip on the back side of the switch which when subjected to heating or cooling can bend. And there is a cool mechanism built inside here. When this bimetallic strip is heated, it bends inwards. And this motion pushes the switch from on position to off position. Wow, incredibly cheap and smart solution to a difficult problem. Let's now screw this back to handle. Wait a minute. The switch is connected to the plastic housing. So how can this sense the heat? Because as far as I am aware of, plastic does not conduct heat. It turns out that it does not actually sense the temperature of the body itself. It just senses the temperature of the water vapor. This is clever because any liquid put inside the kettle will only produce steam when they are boiling. Although it did not happen in my particular kettle, but because of this same technique of sensing the temperature of steam, the kettle in Steve Mould's video actually turned off while heating both the water and the alcohol. There goes this plastic piece that creates a hollow path through which water vapors can get to the switch. When the lid is closed and the water is boiling, the pressure inside the kettle becomes high and this forces vapor to take that path to the switch. To prove whether this is true or not, I tried boiling without closing the lid. And sure enough, the kettle did not turn off. This now explains why the handle gets hot despite it being made out of plastic and the base gets wet after boiling liquids in them. So if we look in this Steve video, the first kettle he used has a switch at the bottom of the kettle, but there is also a tube that redirects the steam from above the kettle to the base of that switch. It is basically the same principle but different construction. After all of this, I wanted to do one daring thing. I wanted to know whether the kettle will destroy itself if we try turning this on without putting any liquid in them. This is a 1100 watt heater, so the base could melt right off the kettle or anything can happen. On top of that, I am also leaving the lid open, so there is no way that the switch will turn off and prevent it from destroying itself. Wow, it turned off. But the switch is still on. Did I just damage my kettle? No, that is not the case. If I add some water and let that base cool again, this starts again. So there is some kind of boil dry protection built into the kettles. Clever. I now have to investigate how this protection works. I have this base connector thing from another kettle. So it turns out that there exists another bimetallic strip embedded on the connector itself. On normal condition, the connection from pad directly comes to the terminals, but if we apply heat and activate the protection, the connection breaks and the kettle stops working. The both switches are connected in series, so if any one of them is off, the heating completely stops. After it cools down again, the connection restores and the kettle starts working again. Basically speaking, there are two switches in the kettle, where one switch is given for the user to interact with the kettle to basically turn the kettle on and off, and the another switch is for the protection and is for emergency use only, so is not visible to the normal user. Let's now see how Steve got in trouble understanding the working of his second electric kettle.
Well, looking inside, there's this component here that's touching the base of the kettle. And if you look, there's actually some thermal paste between the two. So clearly the manufacturer wants there to be a good thermal connection between the two. This must be the thermal switch. So surely this will switch at about 100 C, meaning this ethanol should simply boil dry. Let's see what happens. Damn, I'm just wrong. It's weird though, because I just don't understand how this kettle works. It doesn't make sense to me, because surely if this little kettle is able to bring water to the boil, this thermal switch can't shut off before 100 C, and yet it seems to be.
So his main confusion regarding the working of the kettle is, if the thermal switch is directly connected to the base and was able to boil water previously at 100 degrees Celsius, then how can it sort of adjust 78 degrees Celsius when alcohol was boiling? He tries to explain the workings by pointing out the heat sinking capabilities of the water. That basically means the water requires more heat to gain temperature than the alcohol does. But the reality is, he just missed a simple detail in the kettle. His kettle had one switch on the handlebar. So the actual switching happened not on the base of the kettle but at the handlebar. The fact that his second kettle has that thermal switch and his first kettle does not seem to have one is because his second kettle uses wire to take input power for the kettle, and his first kettle used the base plate, which is very similar to the one that I showed. But the reality is, both of the kettle had that thermal protection switch on their base. The only difference is it was very much obvious in the second kettle while it was hidden in the first one. Here you go, Steve. This was the explanation that you were looking for. I know this video is never going to get any significant view counts to reach on your surface, but if it miraculously does, then please let me know you watched this video. This was all the mysteries, hidden features and functions that this kettle had to offer, explained inside out. Thank you very much, my Patreon, Mr. Benriz, for supporting my work on Patreon, and thank you all for watching this video. Please consider giving this video a like and subscribe this channel. I hope to see you in my next video. Till then, have a great time. Bye bye.